I saw Elon Musk give a speech at a Cato conference that was hosting Milei.
At a government level, I think that there should be a regulation removal department, um, and and probably some. When we pass new laws, they should have some kind of sunset, perhaps that they need to be reaffirmed before they are, or they expire. Now, I think it tends to happen is that once regulations are passed, that an ecosystem of consultants forms around those regulations that wants to keep them going. Environmental regulations are particularly bad in this regard. So, I'm very much pro-environment, but the environmental regulations are, in my view, largely terrible, and they're very much sort of permission based, as opposed to you have to get permission in advance, as opposed to, say, paying a penalty if you do something wrong. In general, I think governments around the world should be actively deleting regulations, questioning whether departments exist. Obviously, President Milei I think, seems to be doing a fantastic job on this front, just deleting entire departments. Fantastic. Yes, and really, this is like taking the brakes off of an economy and of a civilization. We need to snap those strings that are holding Gulliver down and preventing us from making progress as a civilization.
Elon Musk there is framing it in really civilizational terms. He's like, this is a threat to civilizational advancement. And one of the charts that popped out to me reading your work was this one, where you've plotted the ease of doing business against GDP per capita, and you see a fairly clear relationship there. Could you just describe what this shows, or what how you interpret this?
Yeah. So just to frame it, the question of the cost of regulation is very difficult, and economists aren't very good at it because it's very hard to measure. The fact that we even go through the effort of measuring how many paperwork hours does it take, and that's a cost of regulation. No, the cost of regulation is the businesses that didn't start. It's the businesses that went under. It's the people who don't have jobs. It's the houses that cost 10 times as much in Palo Alto as they cost in Austin, Texas. It's the people who couldn't move to Palo Alto to get jobs because the housing was too expensive. That's the cost. How do you measure that? So anyway, back to the chart. Chart has on the x-axis, the World Bank used to put together an ease of doing business index, which was simple things like how hard is it to get a permit? How many different permits do you need to start a small business? These were small business things, not even really about bigness. A little bit of rule of law, corruption, so forth. They stopped doing it because China objected to it, which is kind of too bad. But there's other ease of doing business indices. On the vertical axis, I've got GDP per capita, and it's on a log scale. So just look at the numbers. And what you see is an amazing difference in the wealth and poverty across countries. This is just astounding. The U.S. is about $60,000 a person right now. At the time, the Central African Republic was about 350. India here is about, and the numbers on the chart I'm reading, it was about 2,000. It's a little more now. China's still a middle income country. These are enormous differences in people's standards of living. Look how they correlate with the ease of doing business, which is, can you have competitive new businesses that are higher productivity and so forth. So the frontier that I graphed here, the way this index works, 100 is the best observed actual real world on each of the, I think it was 10 characteristics. So 100 is not fairyland. 100 is just do as well as you can on taxes, regulation, and so forth, as there is some country in the world doing. Even the U.S. The U.S. is full of distortions. We all know that. So just, you could do 100, and the frontier says you'd have close to $300,000.
This is what we could, the frontier is what we could be if we wanted to have nice things.
Lots of lefty economists tore me to shreds over, extrapolating correlations and so forth. But nonetheless, I think that graph is pretty powerful on how bad regulatory distortion. And I'll just give you one point. We have in front of us controlled experiments: North Korea versus South Korea. The same population initially. North was actually more industrialized initially. Same culture, same people. And then look what communism does versus, even their imperfect capitals, East versus West Germany, a similar case. It's just amazing how much bad government can destroy wealth, and therefore how much even the U.S. improving our cost load, improving our regulatory, including the fact you mentioned environmental. Not so much environmental regulation is not bad because it's saving the environment. It's not. The problem with environmental regulation is people are using it to stop projects that they don't want in their backyard. So you file NEPA suits, not to protect the snail darter or whatever it is. Actually, you file in order to say, well, you didn't fill out enough paperwork, so you need to put this project on hold to fill out more paperwork. And then pretty soon, the costs blow up and people give up on the project. That's the problem of environmental regulation. Not that we want dirty air in terms of job. That was the 1970s. The problem now is just pure obstructionism, misusing environmental law to stop worthy projects.
It's crazy to me that so few people see that environmental regulations are just legal weapons, right? Like, these are weapons deployed by people all over to essentially try to mold the world to their liking and stop different technologies and different developments, and it's really wild to me. If more people understood it in those terms, I think we'd be in a much better place. I wanted to ask you, do you believe that Donald Trump has a legitimate ideological commitment to this idea of cutting down the size of government? Like, how committed is he really to this vision, and do you have any theories as to where this might stem from?
Um, so first, I just want to say there is good environmental regulation, and this is the problem. We don't want to just burn the EPA. Yeah, you guys are young. I grew up with coal dust that accumulates on the windows on the south side of Chicago. LA was a disaster of smog. Getting rid of that, even at some cost, was a great and good thing, and we're all healthier because of it. And then, like all things in America, a great and good thing gets weaponized out of control. We decided it would be nice to have special protections for handicapped people on airplanes, and next thing you know, someone's bringing along their emotional support peacock, uh, and that's the way it got misused for other purposes. Now, your question was peer inside of Trump's mind. I'm going to
Mm,
try to
Not
peer
peer
dangerous.
inside of
inside of
Trump's mind
Trump's
and figure out
mind,
what
so
he
much
really.
as I think that this is an interesting thing. We saw this with the, for every regulation we put on the books, we're going to take a regulation away, that we saw in the first term. But that was coupled with an awful lot of interest in deportation, an awful lot of interest in heavy-handed immigration policy, and thus needing a more muscular sort of federal law enforcement apparatus to do such things. Then now in his second term, I mean, I think one thing that's fascinating is DOGE. It's not like Biden didn't have this available to him. It's not like Barack Obama didn't have this available. I mean, the idea of attempting to make the government more efficient and ensure that bureaucracy hasn't gotten out of control, this is something that could ostensibly be a bipartisan priority. But for whatever reason, it's Trump who has seemingly had this obsession first seen in his first term and now taken to a whole new level in his second term, related to just trying to sort of cut federal government down to size. Where do you think this stems from? Why is Trump oddly fixated on this?
I read Trump as a politician, and I say that with respect. A politician is a noble calling. The three of us don't have it. And a politician is someone who listens very carefully to what the people who will give him political support want. That's really, I read about like his first campaign. He was on the stage with the other people, and he heard them when he tried immigration. There was noise. Oh, here's something people are upset about. He tried China, and there's noise. Here's something people are upset about. We live in a democracy. A good politician is not someone who comes in with fixed ideas. A good politician listens to what is the zeitgeist of the moment, channels that, leads it, jumps in front of the parade, figures out where would be a good place to go. So that's how I read Trump. I don't, he
What
did not
exactly is noble
write
about that, by
a
the way?
book of my ideology
Yeah.
and then I'm going to implement it. And right now, that's why this is beyond Trump. We are not living the happenstance of a particular person who just happened to get elected president. We are living in revolutionary times because the vibe shift, if you want to call it, the world has seen, not just the US, the world has seen the incompetence, the emptiness, the politicization, the perversion of democracy coming out of progressive government and all the things that it said. Trump embodies that US shift against all of those things, which is part of the global shift, part of Milei, a libertarian president of Argentina. Europe has woken up and said, oh my God, our climate policies have killed economic growth, and our AI policies are going to stop us from ever catching up. Maybe we need to do something about it. Our immigration policies, we're libertarians, we're all for immigration, but we're all for sensible immigration, not this catastrophe that's happening in Europe where you let in single unskilled men and you don't let them work. Well, gee, that's going to work out great, even if you're a libertarian. So he is, he's the most consequential politician of our century so far, because first he listens and he reflects that. That's why this is bigger than Trump. Even if they get rid of Trump, the peak woke is gone. The global vibe shift has come.
Hey, that was a clip from Just Asking Questions. You can watch another one here or the full episode here. And please subscribe to our brand new channel to get us started off right and be notified when new episodes or clips go up. Thanks for watching.